When we look at missions, it's very important that we think theologically. If we don't think theologically, we will make either emotional or relational decisions which won't necessarily keep us plumb line with the heart of God. And I think there are 4 aspects that we need to consider theologically when we are trying to understand what missions is. We need to look at the Bible and say, what is the goal of missions? What is the motive for missions? What is the mission of missions, and what's the vision? So let me take those one by one. The Bible, through all the scriptures, will very clearly say that the goal of missions is the glory of God amongst all peoples. You see, if we put other goals out there, like so many numbers or so many buildings, we'll get away from the reality that the pure essence of the goal is that Jesus is worshiped by every tribe, every tongue, every people, and every nation. We know that from Revelation 5, verse 9, that at the end of it all, every people will be represented around the throne. So there's our goal. That's what we're working for. And Matthew 24:14 says that the gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world amongst every people, and then the end will come. So very pristinely, we want to see Jesus glorified, magnified by every tribe and tongue. And this is really important. Let's say a missionary goes to Somalia and he gets off the plane and he's shot on the tarmac before he's led one person to the Lord. He's barely been 30 seconds in the country. Did he fail? Not if his goal was the glory of God. But if his goal was to get 5 Somalis saved, well, he certainly didn't do that. What if somebody goes to Iran like Robert Bruce did in the 1800s? And he wrote home and he said, I am not reaping. I can hardly even said to be sowing. I'm just gathering rocks from the field. And yet today, because of Robert Bruce and scores of other men and women like him, the fastest growing church per capita in the world is the Iranian church. God is doing amazing things amongst Iranians. Why? Because someone removed stones for the glory of God. And is Robert Bruce's life a failure? No, because he did it for the glory of Jesus. So theologically, we have to understand the glory of God amongst every people group. That's our goal. That's what we're striving for. And different ones of us will play different roles in that journey. Well, the motive of missions would be the love of God for all the peoples of the world. For God so loved the cosmos. For God so loved the world that he sent his only Son. Corinthians, the love of God compels us. And it's really important that we focus in on the love of God. Why? Because my love is so finite. I've had experiences with my wife in the Arab world that have been traumatic. I've had young teenage boys grab her breasts and bottom on the street and she'll come in traumatized. On those days, I don't love Arabs so much. There are days in my flesh when I want to say, fine, go to hell then if you won't receive the gospel. You see, my love is very limited through my experiences and the fragility of my flesh, but the love of God is infinite. And we have to be very, very clear theologically that what motivates us is not our emotions or our feelings or our passions or our giftings or our intellect or our charisma, because all of those things will rise and wane. But the love of God is constant. And the love of God for all peoples has to be our motivation for mission. If that's true, if the goal is the glory of God amongst all peoples, and the motivation must be the love of God for all peoples, then what's the vision? What do we want to see? We want to see the church of God amongst all people. We don't want to see the American church in Bangladesh. We want to see the Bangladeshi church that is following the Spirit of God in all of its cultural wonder. We don't want to see my personal church in Saudi Arabia. We want to see the church of God that's in Arabic and in that wonderful Semitic culture, expanding and being missionary and biblical and all of that fullness. You see, that's the priceless vision, and we have to fix our eyes on it. And what's the mission? How do we get there? The mission of churches is disciples of God amongst every unreached people. Not my disciples primarily, and not yours. But are they followers of Jesus? And yes, we can be that mediating step there, but we really need to make sure that the men and women that we lead to Jesus are following him, not following us, our culture, our programs, and our systems. And those two things are intertwined. Disciples together accumulate into churches. And so if we look at it theologically, let's be really, really clear on these things, because they might seem simple, but one degree of variance away from these things will end up with a very disfigured church or a very disfigured understanding of missions. We have to settle it theologically, that the goal is the glory of God amongst all peoples, and that the motive is the love of God for all peoples, and that the vision is the church of God amongst every people. And how do we get there? What's our daily mission? What do? We make disciples of God from every people.